Hello there, Steve here in Sydney of the lay gnosis website truebluehealer.com. Can I just say a few more words to you about this thing about afterlife being not a newsworthy item, being proven by the New Zealand police week after week after week in the program Sensing Murder, that's in mainstream television viewing time, and has made no impact whatsoever on any news service. I can just tell you a bit more about Sydney News Service. We have a 24-hour news channel on the TV, 12 digital channels, one of them 24-hour news service, run by the government ostensibly, but it's kind of obviously hijacked by political parties who put so-called, experts to comment on today's political activities, and all they really do is put their party's spin on today's events, forever trying to affect popularity polls which the viewers have to put up with. Who would you vote for Prime Minister today if there was an election? That kind of thing. So the whole channel seems to be devoted simply to that. Between all these political pundits making their predictions and rubbishing each other's parties, we only have very basic news, off-wire news, Reuters, that sort of stuff, some stuff. And the other thing they do is they allow viewers now to be fully entrained and dominated by the TV. You can now put your Twitter comments at the bottom of the TV show. So there's a competition. Can you get your Twitter comment at the bottom of the television program, you see? So you are forever watching all these commercials. Forever watching all these commercials and inducements to buy things while you are glued playing Twitter games with the TV. Now, that they don't actually get genuine news of their own is kind of fascinating, and this has been said about a lot of modern news channels, that they just buy it from somebody else, relay somebody else's news, because it's actually difficult to dig up your own news. And the other thing that we do is the news that we do have at 6 o'clock in Sydney is really only about crime and death, shootings and stabbings. And you might well ask, why are we all so interested in shootings, stabbings, death and plane crashes and stuff like that? It seems to be an evolutionary thing. That's the explanation given. It's an evolutionary thing. We are looking for threats all the time. It's our primitive hunter-gatherer instinct, we are told. We're always looking for threats and to make sure that they're in somebody else's suburb, not mine. So our murder, death, kill obsession is why we get dished up all this rubbish television, cops and robbers TV shows. Now, the Sensing Murder program is about this very subject, and it's slowly peeling back the belief that death is final, and I'm just wondering how long it will take for this to become mainstream knowledge. And there's a problem, because this mainstream knowledge of life after death, proven by the New Zealand police, is really far more important for all of us in our daily personal conduct with each other and politically between nations, etc. It's really more important than all the products on the television that they're trying to sell you. So the good news is that Sensing Murder has got into mainstream television. It's on at peak viewing time, and it's actually selling Ajax Foaming Cleanser along with the best of the other TV shows. When you can sell something, when you can sell mundane household cleaners with a TV show, the TV show has truly arrived and got the public's attention. We can rest assured of that. It's a badge of honour that they can sell Ajax Foaming Cleanser in the middle of a talk about life after death, isn't it, when you think about it? The reason the other shows and all the newscasts don't make any mention of the proof by New Zealand police every week of life after death, which totally inverts our usual paradigm. The reason the other shows don't talk about it is they are all commercial rivals selling their different brands of foaming cleanser and all the consumerist crap they want to sell you while they hold your attention with pseudo news and pseudo events. So I'm very glad to see Sensing Murder's got to the point where they can sell consumer items with the theme of life after death continuously repeated scientifically by the New Zealand police. Now, what I'd like to point out is that the way that we'll actually get into the consciousness of people on a grand scale and alter their thinking so that it's really as common in your head as all the advertising jingles that somehow get into your head, is that most likely I think some beloved idolised public figure will be brutally murdered. There may be a need for this, let's face it. There may be a need for it. And the police will be nonplussed and have nowhere to go. They'll suspect foul play, but there'll be absolutely no evidence whatsoever. And I do think that there'll be, dare I say this now, a consumer demand that police lift their game by employing psychics on a regular basis, using the Sensing Murder format of double and triple blinded psychics on different days, going over the same crime scene, the same murder, trying to get additional clues to assist the police in their conventional investigation. Dare I call it a consumer demand? Because everything else, we basically live in a consumer scape, don't we? It's all about consumption and perception driving of everybody. So I think that's the way to go. So it's possible, for example, in the mysteries around the death of Michael Jackson, that the Sensing Murder team could have been called in. They could have provided one critical piece of evidence that the police never got. You just don't know what that doctor was trying to hide, making his 45-minute phone calls on disposable phones. Very suspicious was that. So I think there's going to be a need for more than one, maybe, celebrity murder where the police have got no clues. And the only solution will be to go to the other channels' Sensing Murder program and use their format and their well-proven mediums to gain additional information about the actual murder of their beloved figure in the media. So we might have to sacrifice, dare I use this ugly, crude way of looking at it, but we may need a few celebrity murders to wake people up to the fact that death is not really final after all, that it's a myth, that it's just an illusion created by Mother Nature to make you try as hard as you can while you're here. Preserve yourself to the last minute. But it's got a bad side effect that we have bullying and all sorts of things associated with this aggression tendency, don't we? Nations bully each other, corporations bully each other. It happens in schools, and death is the worst thing that can happen to you, when scientific evidence from Sensing Murder would say, well, maybe not. Maybe not. The murder victims consulted in that show never seem to express regret or want revenge. They're not vengeful people. That's a lesson in itself. It's worth watching the show a few times if you can, just to note that they're never vengeful people. Now, in watching the New Zealand police force in action, one is not really impressed by the calibre of the people doing the investigation, the frontline policemen. They're not highly educated. In fact, mostly high school dropouts join the police force. So cases can be closed early, and in hindsight, when the psychics come along and discover additional information, you can see the police were haphazard, slapdash and plain negligent in their investigations. So you can see here a leg in for consumer protest about the quality of our police forces, and to get the best quality verdicts and findings in criminal cases, it might become, there could be a move to make it mandatory in difficult cases to include psychics using the format of the Sensing Murder program. Now, how's that for a suggestion, guys? What we really want is consumerism to take over the after-death knowledge, so that it becomes as popular as this GIF foaming cleanser recommended by 9 out of 10 housewives. That's what we really want. We want the best products possible in our society, don't we? We're also consumerist. So I can see that slowly happening. Do we need to have some celebrity murders? Most likely. But I think that will be a price to pay. And murders happen anyway, don't they? And people don't really die. We can also bear that in mind. But I'm not recommending for a second that murder should be okayed. It is not. So I'll just leave you with those thoughts, okay?
Threat has been detected.
So it might require a few celebrity murders solved by recourse to psychics in the sensing murder format that finally gets afterlife and the fact that death is a myth firmly into the consciousness of the average person. And it's already started selling consumer products, so that means it's gaining traction with the public anyway. Probably the fact that it's being ignored by the news channels and all the other TV shows is probably because it's seen as a serious competitor, and one of the biggest best things you can do if you're running a race is to ignore your competitors and pretend they're not there. Well, maybe that's what they're actually doing. The news channels don't want to be discussing serious news. That's not their job. It's about ignoring competitors and selling products.
A vast virus database has been updated.
That's my computer just booting up to make this video. And as a bit of humour,
a vast virus
there it
database
goes again.
Has been updated.
A bit of humour here. I don't get a minute's peace making these videos. I stop the record for about 1 minute just to think what I'm going to say next. And guess what the camera does? It puts advertisements in my face for Sony products.
Threat has
I can't
been detected.
get away from it. So, what a wonderful consumer world we live in. And here's me talking about big subjects like afterlife. Is there any room for it at all? I will not pause for a commercial. As knowledge of afterlife is gradually drip feeding into public consciousness, it seems a painfully slow process, and I'm anxious to speed up the transformation of society. So, dare I suggest that we really need a political party advocating the upgrading of the quality of our police force by augmenting police forces with these afterlife mediums, these people who can talk to murder victims, deceased people, and get vital information about their demise, their murders. Maybe that's the way we should go. Maybe we should put this to Victor Zammit and put some ideas out on his weekly newsletter that goes out. Maybe we could start a worldwide cause to demand, starting off the internet, for a consumer sentiment to demand a better quality verdicts and findings from police forces by the use of scientifically proven mediums. Now, what's wrong with that, Victor Zammit? I put this to you. And Victor, can I just mention that you could put this in one of your editorials, that maybe we could even lower the murder rate if we could change the belief in the finality of death, the permanence of death. Because I live in the murder capital of Sydney, which is Bankstown, but what I'm meaning to say here is that what if people finally got the idea through their head that you kill somebody and they can still testify through mediums and name the murderer? Think of the possibilities of that. Motion pictures could be made about this. The possibilities for transforming society are immense, Victor Zammit. And I'm wondering if you can just put this out on your Newswire, your weekly thing, and see how people respond to it. It's really a wonderful way of transforming society, to take away the very impeding concept that death is final, that maybe you can't get away with murder so easily after all with scientific advances in proof of the afterlife. Now how's that for an editorial? Victor, you're my hero.